welcome back, Sue.
Thank you. It is good to be back. It's been 3 long months. I can't believe it's been that long since we've talked and done these podcasts. And it's been a wonderful 3 months. I'm excited to be back.
Well, and I'm excited to hear some of your stories, but I think we're going to hear a little bit of one of your adventures as you introduce us all to Eliana.
Yes. So
let's begin.
Yeah, let me tell you what happened. For those of you who don't know, I took a 3-month renewal leave, a wonderful gift from the church. I'd been there for about 8 years, and to have those 3 months of a break really helped restore me so I could come back for more seasons of ministry with the church. So a real wonderful gift. I started out my renewal leave. Linda and I took a cruise down the Amazon. It's been a dream trip we've always wanted to do, and what better way to disconnect from church and work, than going to a place where I had no cell phone service and no internet. And so that was wonderful. And of course, the wildlife in the Amazon was wonderful. We did a cruise with Lindblad Expeditions, which is also a partner with National Geographic. And the guides really gave us a wonderful view of the Amazon, the landscape, the animals, the flora, but just as importantly, the communities. All of our guides were from that region, and so they were able to show us their home and to really show us what it was like to live there. And we stopped at a couple of different communities while we were there and got to meet some of the people and talk with them and see a little bit about their life. So that's one of the things we both love to do. Is we aren't interested in the tourist stuff. We want to know the people. And so that was a gift. The other gift was the last morning of our cruise. We ate breakfast, and then we were told this woman who was the executive director of this organization that Lindblad partners with was going to be talking to us. So wonderful. And that's where I met Eliana. She is the co-founder and executive director of Minga Peru. And Lindblad Expeditions has been partnering with them for how many years?
10.
10 years. And what that means is that Lindblad is in there helping those communities thrive. They are working with Minga Peru on their projects to make it successful and make an impact and make people's lives better. I love the fact that they always invite the guests on these cruises to contribute to the funds that help the people in the local area that we visited. And so we were hearing about that organization that they partner with. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. Let me just tell you a little bit about Eliana. I'm reading just a little bit from her bio because I don't have all this memorized because there's a lot here. Minga Peru is celebrating its 25th anniversary, so it's been around for that many years. And it's a grassroots organization that really strives, and correct me if I'm not saying this right, really strives to empower women to make their lives better and to make the lives of their community better. And that's always been close to my heart. When I heard that, it really resonated with me. But some of the things that she has been recognized for over these 25 years is implementing a model of strategic communication and training for women in these communities. She has trained over 150 NGOs and grassroots organizations in South America on these kinds of things. She promotes gender equity, which is, of course, very close to the heart of our church, sustainable development and conservation. She has had her work presented at the National Geographic Explorers Festival, at the Clinton School for Public Service, Funders Without Borders. She was a keynote speaker at the 2020 International Social Behavior Change Communication Summit. And she also has been elected as a National Geographic Society Explorer, which I think is really exciting. Totally jealous about that one. And that just scratches the surface of the things that and not just she, but the work of Minga Peru has been recognized for. So I was so impressed and moved by what they were doing that I invited her to come and speak here in Lincoln, Nebraska, the middle of the country, to our church and share the story of what's happening in the Amazon. So, Eliana, thank you so much for coming, and I'm just so grateful to have this time and to hear everything you're going to be sharing with the church and to be sharing with our podcast listeners.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Nancy, for inviting us. And of course, I'm super grateful to be here. I met Sue and Linda in the boat. And since the beginning, I felt that energy, and that really desire to learn and to help and to become part of something exciting that is going on in the Amazon. And of course, I accepted the invitation, and they were so generous to invite me to come all the way from Peru to share this with the community at the First Presbyterian Church here in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Well, it's such an honor to meet you. And it's so exciting that, well, of course you and Sue met in a boat in the Amazon. I mean, it can happen. Right? God shows up in mysterious ways, putting people on our path at just the right time. So I'm excited that First Press and Minga Peru will have a really wonderful and uplifting partnership. But right now we got to make it all about you, Eliana. We got to start with you. Sue read off your many accomplishments. So my real question is, do you ever sleep?
Yes, because I'm the public face. I'm the visible face of an amazing group. All what I have achieved was through the support and being part of a group of brave, resilient, creative women and men, not only in the communities but also in the states, who support us and trust on us when we just started 25 years ago. So I'm used to receive these recognitions, but I'm part of a group. I'm representing many, many women in the Amazon.
I can appreciate that. Yeah. So introduce yourself. What would you like people to know about you that wasn't on that sheet of paper?
Yes. Well, I am Eliana Elias. I was born and raised in Lima, Peru, the capital of Peru, Lima. I studied communications. My passion has always been in accompanying rural communities. I visited many others before I went to the Amazon. But since I got there, I felt drawn,
Yes,
attracted by these communities and the energy and their connection to nature and the joy that they have despite all the challenges they face. So I came not, as many people think, only to help, but to learn and to be healed in many ways too.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful.
But also other things. I'm also a mother, a wife, a daughter, a friend.
Yes. Yes. And I've got to ask, how do you find Lincoln, Nebraska?
Well, it's so different. It's very peaceful. I love how there's a lot of light. People is very friendly to me. They are not in a hurry. Seem to have time. So I'm enjoying it, and I feel super welcome. Super welcome. And I'm so excited to see the members of the church. Because I've read about the values. And it resonates me in many ways. Encouraging, curiosity, everyone is loved. Many of the values are really appealing to me. So, yes, I'm very looking forward, not only to share what we do in the Amazon, but also to be enriched by this community.
As you will be, yeah. Are you going to go to a football game?
I don't know.
No, I don't think we're going to make it to a Husker game.
Well, I trust that Eliana will come back, and then you really haven't experienced Lincoln, Nebraska, unless you've experienced it on a football game.
I'm looking forward then.
Ported to another world.
I'm looking forward.
So, why don't you share with us what you're doing at Minga Peru, and also how you went about doing it? I mean, it's a really, wonderful example of how a community model can really uplift everybody and address a very serious problem.
Yes. So Minga is a Quechua word, no? It's a Quechua word for an Andean practice that comes from 3,000 years ago. It's a tradition by which all the community gets together to build something for the good of all. No? Everybody is part of a Minga. Everybody is part of a Minga. And they used to build bridges and places to store seeds for winter. So in many ways, Minga is a way of understanding relations and is in many ways what makes a community facing challenges be resilient and strong.
So
So
is that part of your culture? Like, are you all kind of raised with that Minga Peru way?
especially in the Andeans, rural Andean communities, and in the Amazon as well. So we took that word because we wanted to honor that spirit of
Yes.
collaboration, of community getting together. And I co-funded Minga Peru with Luis Gonzalez 25 years ago. Um, and really, I have to say, we co-designed with the communities this model. It has been the people, it has been the
Yeah,
women.
so this is interesting because there's so much need right now on kind of rebuilding culture and community post the pandemic. There's organizations are trying to figure out as people come back to the office. Churches are trying to figure it out as people come back and gather in person. So I'm really intrigued with this idea of the people in the Amazon understand this Minga Peru way of being.
Exactly, they live it. It's a value. It's a cultural value. No? So
So
immediately when you said we are Minga, they understand the spirit
yeah,
of the organization.
yes. Okay, so then there's so much more to unpack with that because that is like really one of the biggest issues that's going on right now. Um, and and I spent some time on your website and I watched a few of the videos. You're using Minga Peru to address a really challenging problem with women and children. So share with our listeners kind of what the focus is and why it's so important.
Okay, I'll tell you the story behind the model. No? We started 25 years ago really wanting to reach the farthest rural communities in the Amazon when there were no roads to connect. No? The only means of transportation was the river. So we realized that the only way to reach the communities was through the use of radio. No? So we started a radio program, which is named Bienvenida Salud, means welcome health. No? And we invited the communities to send us letters because we didn't want to impose, contents. We
Mhm.
want to really encourage the
Yes.
community to build together a message. And it is a challenge. Rural communities, no roads at that time. So we invite them to listen to the radio program and then send us letters uh, through these connections we have with big boats that go through the river and basins. And we collect them at the port and we transcribe them and we use it as the main source for developing the scripts for Bienvenida Salud. Nancy, we never imagined the response of the people. We never expected to receive because it's so hard for them. For many of them was the first time they were writing a letter.
Wow.
It's hard for them to write, for many women to write and to send a letter, even to find a piece of paper, sometimes it's hard. Today, we have received almost 60,000 letters.
Wow.
This
Wow.
is how much they want to be.
Yes.
This
So
is
were there common themes? I mean, were people sharing kind of the same hopes and joys and challenges?
yeah. We basically asked them to tell us what's going on in your community? How would you like to see things change in your community? And they start sending us. At the beginning, there was a word that came out very frequently in the letters, and it was shame.
Oh,
I'm ashamed of how I write. I'm ashamed of my grammar. I'm ashamed that I don't know how to write correctly. So we consciously invest lots of time really telling the women that we don't care about the grammar, spelling, even if it's a paper or a bark, we don't care. What they know, it's important and relevant. They are the experts. So what we care is that they send us the letters. And see, this phenomenon happened. 60,000 letters throughout 25 years. And that explains the success of Bienvenida Salud being broadcasted 3 times a week for 25 years.
I just love, I mean, wow, and thank you. So shame, lots of stuff around shame. But I also heard there was a need, right? Help me communicate better. And I believe that's one of the programs you do, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
One of the challenges was about the word rights. For many people, was the first time for women to realize they have rights, not only duties, but rights. Women's rights.
mm,
Violence is wrong. You don't have to accept it. There are many ways of violence. So many, they were topics coming frequently in the letters.
were you sharing this? So the radio show, I get, is a major communication vehicle, right? Um,
Yes.
Now on your website, though, I was also seeing people gathering in community. So how does that
Yeah.
all happen if
Yeah.
everybody needs a boat?
When we started receiving the letters, we organized them, no, through different topics, gender, basins, no, and we realized that there were some women sending 5 or more letters a month that really wanted, they were committed to really learn and really wanted to have a change in their lives and the lives of their families and communities. So we invite them to be trained in person. And for them was the first time they were attending to a workshop, a 5-day workshop for the very first time.
Wow.
So this is how we develop the second component of our model. The first one is the radio program, and the second one is training women as leaders, no? The empowering leadership program. And these women started to share what they learned in this process with other women in their communities. And then, like a year or so after that, we were doing an evaluation together with the women. And I remember one of them stood up in front of me and she said, Eliana, now I know violence is wrong and I don't have to tolerate it. But what do I do with my niece who lives close to my house? She's 3 months pregnant and her partner beats her badly every night. And as we Minga believe that they have the answers, I said, but what will you do? And she said, I already spoke to the authority here, saying what's going on. And nothing happens, Eliana, because he's a friend with the guy and they share some beers and nothing changes. So I answered, but what will you do? And she said, we need money. I need money to pay for the gasoline, to take my niece with me in a boat and take it to the closest city and put a formal complaint.
Mm-hmm.
And we said, but we don't give money to anybody. We provide, training and education and other things, but not money. And she said, well, let's do fish farms, agroforestry farms, handcrafts. Let's do things that usually men do. So this is how we started our income generating and natural resource management component. This is how we have these 3 components. That's
So
why.
let me just make sure I understand that. So, because it just deserves kind of repeating, right? The awareness that violence is not appropriate, right? Step one. Step two, like, I want to do something about it, maybe not for myself, but somebody else that I know, in this case, this woman's niece, right? And what can I do? If I had a little bit of money, I can get her out of there, right? But then how do you get the money, right? So then the women start to work in traditional male jobs. How does that go down with the men?
Yeah, it was a challenge. We It's always important if you work in gender equity, you need to include men in the process. So we really have the challenge to understand masculinity. You know, how is it culturally built, this concept in the Amazon? So we worked with sociologists to do some research about it and really try to make it in a respectful way. You know, that's culturally correct, you know. And we established open communication with them. It was hard for many of them. You know, some of them were teased by other guys in the community, so they suffered. It was hard for them, but they slowly become part of the process, and they did their part, which was not easy many times. No.
You know, I learned something.
Sorry, Nancy, I interrupted. Can I tell you a little story about that?
Please, please.
One of the letters I love the most is one that came written by I don't know if it was 10-year-old or less boy saying, "Hi, friends from Bienvenida Salud. This is my name. I'm 10 years old. When my mom was expecting me, she was bitten by a snake. So the doctor said I was going to born slow. So I want you to please tell me and teach me how could I become one of those men you speak about in your program so my mom could be proud of me one day." That's when you know you're having an impact. There is
Yeah,
a different kind of man that women appreciate.
yeah.
A 10-year-old is getting it.
Well, and this is why, I mean, our children are our hope. I think, I, when you stop to do the math, the only way evolution works is if the younger generation is more evolved, than we are. So I do think the children are our future, and our hope, because, like that story that you just told, the young son doesn't want to see his mother or anyone else suffer. The story you told previously about the husband that might be, having a different level of awareness. You never know what's going to shift somebody's awareness, but it could be like, not for my children. I don't want my daughter to suffer this way. When I had the opportunity to spend a lot of time in Finland, they have well-being as a country strategy, and they have well-being, basically as a way to maintain their independence from Russia. They thought if everybody in Finland, and they do a community model too. Like, if you're homeless in Finland, it's because you want to be homeless in Finland, because they do make sure everyone is housed and fed. But I was having a conversation with the head of the Department of Education. I'm like, well, how does such a big strategy, right, like well-being for all, show up? And she said it took us a long time, like many years. But now we boiled it down to this: whenever we're making a decision, we ask, how will this impact the children? I don't think there's a better strategy slogan on the planet when you think about it, but it's what you're doing, Eliana. I mean, you're bringing women and children through these experiences, right? That they create a new level of awareness, get some new tools, some new capabilities, so that they can start to create the life that they want. Maybe not for themselves, but for their children.
Starting with themselves, no? Starting with themselves. And this is a model that has been decided by the people, by the communities, by these brave women, having been brave enough to really change things and pay the cost of that. This is
Did
what
you
I'm
find?
proud of. It's a model designed by the people.
Yeah, I love it. So just because you mentioned that some of the men got some resistance and some of the women got resistance. So did you need to find ways to protect them if kind of their empowerment, if you will, was creating, some uncomfortable situations?
Yeah, we spoke a lot about that. We had the advice of psychologists, specialists. We create safe spaces for them. We include men a lot in our process trainings. We encourage them. We read when some men send us letters about how they are supporting their women. We read the letter in the radio program. We congratulate the guy. We name them, no, and we put him as an as an example for others. So there's a strategy behind it to help them, women, no? And men in this process.
I just love that. So what are your um you've given us some stories about some of the highlights and the successes, and it's just so uplifting. But what are some of the challenges, and what can our community at First Presbyterian do? What can individually, we can do on any given day? So talk about the challenges and kind of what you would invite us to engage in.
Well, the challenge is always to listen. For us, as Minga, is to continue respectfully, actively listening to what the communities want, not only what they need, because sometimes we don't need to see communities like only based on their lacknesses. No? They don't have, they don't know, they don't. But what are the many things they have, the many resources they have, personally, culturally, in their environment? We think we want to be a mirror. We hope to be a mirror where they can reflect themselves in a different way as they have been reflected before, based on all that richnesses they have and resources they have. So going back to your question, the challenge is always to listen, to respect what they want to do, to accompany them, to adapt, institutionally adapt to a world which is constantly changing. So that's a challenge. Another challenge is to really make the community bigger. Make the community bigger. We know there's people who wants to be part of something like this and want to bring their knowledge, their wisdom, their energy, their dreams to be part of this. And this is why I'm here. I felt that energy when I met Sue and Linda, and I was drawn. That's the word. I was drawn to come to Nebraska after less than an hour of a conversation. And you have to come also to the Amazon. So yes, we want to enlarge the community. That's why I'm here. I'm meeting the community at the First Presbyterian Church here in Lincoln.
Well, and if I might add to that, a big part of our faith is that we are part of a world community. It's not just the number of people who sit in the pews on Sunday morning. That's a community, but as Christians, we're called to be part of the world community and to be light and hope in the world. And so this one reason it resonated with me is that I'm seeing all over the place how God has been at work and feeling that call that there's a place for me in all of that. Here in Lincoln too, it's not an either or, it's a both and. But it's one of the reasons that I was so thrilled Eliana said yes to coming is it's going to give the congregation this other view of what else is going on in the world and how God might be calling them to be a part of that. Because it takes all of us working together for the whole world to be healthy.
And so, ladies, it has just been an honor and a total delight to spend time with you here this morning. getting to know Eliana, you a little bit, and the wonderful work you're doing at Minga Peru. And I can see why Sue texted me and said, "You've got to meet this amazing woman. Check out the website." I'm like, "Okay, let's do it." Yes, and you are exceptional. Thank you for doing what you're doing. So before we say goodbye to our audience, I'm going to invite you both to just kind of give us a call to action. Right? What can we do to be part of this important community? So, Eliana, what can we do?
Well, visit our website. Contact us, write to us, we respond. If you write to that email that is there, we will respond you. Be part of this growing international community of Friends of Minga Peru. No? If you want, you can sponsor one radio program, one fish farm, one workshop. And if you cannot financially support, give us ideas, give us advice, introduce us to people. Uh, be part of a community. We want to enlarge the community. And we are still developing this idea, the way that the partnership with First Presbyterian Church here in Lincoln is going to have. I'm going to meet the community for the first time tomorrow. So we are still developing ideas. But one that came to my mind is that we are launching soon a Minga tour, which is a experience by which people can come in groups and enjoy and learn from these brave, wise, amazing women and communities, and have a respectful exchange with this sense of reverence, for mutual reverence for what's going on in the Amazon and also here.
Thank you. Count me in. I'm on my way.
Great.
Perfect.
So Sue, what's the call to action that we can do?
I think there's three things we could do. One is pray. You know, part of our Christian foundation is inviting God to be a part of everything. Let's bring our hopes and dreams to God for this relationship and for these remarkable women and this remarkable organization for success and continued growth. So let's make that part of our everyday prayers. Everybody's capable of doing that. Second is give. One of the things that Eliana shared with me, I think while we were still in Peru or on one of our Zoom calls that we've had since then, is they do an incredible amount on a very small budget. But they also need support for that budget so they can continue to make an impact. So give $100, make a commitment to be an annual supporter of $100 a year. More if you're capable, but $100. Most of us can do that. It probably just means twice we don't go out to eat during the year. And for giving up, 2 restaurant meals a year, what an impact we can help have in the Amazon. And then participate. And that participation can look different for different people. Eliana mentioned these Minga tours. I would love to see a group from our church go to Peru, go to the Amazon, stay in the villages, and actually get to know the community there. Let's build that relationship by being present. But not everyone's going to be able to travel to the Amazon. We can have Zoom meetings with the women in these communities, which is just amazing to think of. But we can, every 6 months have a Zoom meeting, participate in that. Write your own letters, find a way to be involved so that this isn't just, this is an interesting thing that our church is doing. Make it something that you are a part of. It's a community effort. Minga. Let's be Minga.
I love that.
For everyone.
Let's mingar in Lincoln.
Mingar. Okay.
Like a verb.
Okay.
Ladies, thank you so much for being the bright lights that you are, doing the important work you are. And I'm so glad that you've cultivated this friendship and creating the opportunity for us to kind of, love you up and support that and create a community here as well.
Thank you,
Thank
Nancy.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you'd like to find out more about Minga Peru and participate in the amazing work they're doing, please visit their website, mingaperu.org. That's MINGAPERU.org. Thanks for joining us at First Presbyterian Church, where faith is nurtured, curiosity encouraged, diversity welcomed, and all are loved. Find out more about us at fpclincoln.org.